Ladies and gentlemen and ladies, welcome to the National Timely Action Hour. This is the show where we talk about everything from comic books to Star Wars to the Lord of the Rings and everything in between that. I hope that you are all doing very well. I am, and today I'm doing something a little different. We're going back to sort of a regular schedule now that we've wrapped up our in-depth review of Crisis on Infinite Earths, and as much as I enjoyed that story, it took a lot out of me, which is why I had to take this break for a couple of weeks. And during that time I worked on other projects for this show and for my podcast, as well as my own personal writing projects, and you can check those out on patreon.com /the National Timely Action Hour. Link will be in the description, as well as the link to my podcast and all of my social media accounts. And if you are new and want to check out more of my videos, then please hit the subscribe button. And if you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button. If you don't, hit the dislike button. And if you want to get notified every time I post a new video, ring the bell, and let's get into this. So today we are going to be taking a look at three action figures that I recently purchased. So we have the Hobgoblin from Spider-Man the Animated Series, and this is produced by Hasbro. And this is an incredible looking figure, just looking at the packaging. I have done a few of these figures in this line, so I'll leave a link to those videos. I brought my copy of Fellowship of the Ring. I'm rereading it at the time of recording, and I guess it was just on top of the figure, so I took it. Another figure that we'll be talking about is Princess Leia, specifically from Yavin 4, from Star Wars the Black Series, also produced by Hasbro. And this figure looks incredible just looking at the packaging. Awesome. And finally, we have Armored Spider-Man from Spider-Man the Animated Series by Hasbro. Boy oh boy, this looks pretty cool. So, take a look at the back here. The other figures in this line are Hammerhead, Black Suit Spider-Man, Hobgoblin, which I have, Clone Spider-Man, and Shocker. And on the Armored Spider-Man, the read-up says, When Spider-Man's powers aren't enough, he dons his patented spider armor. This ceramic metal battlesuit protects Spidey from his deadliest foes, giving him the time he needs to take it to the bad guys. And then it shows you the action feature, which is just putting on the two hands that he comes with, and he also comes with some webbing. Now, Princess Leia's figure says, Princess Leia Organa was one of the greatest leaders of the Rebel Alliance, fearless on the battlefield, dedicated to ending the Empire's tyranny. And she comes with the medal that she gives Luke or Han, or Han if you're Billy D. Williams. And you don't want to play that. And then, finally, the Hobgoblin. His read-up says, deploying an eerie arsenal of pumpkin bombs and razor-sharp bats from his goblin glider, the criminal mastermind Hobgoblin has Spider-Man constantly on his guard. And his action feature is putting on his satchel and carrying a pumpkin bomb. And, yeah. So, we don't see any other figures on the way for the Princess Leia one, but then for Hobgoblin we show the same ones as Spider-Man, because that's the same wave. So, let me just take a moment to take them out of the packaging, and I'll show you them up close and personal. So now that I have opened up the packages and bear in mind it did sort of hurt me personally to break up that classy packaging for Princess Leia because it looks so cool just in the box, but you know, I want to take her out and play with her, so you know. Alright, let's take a look at Spider-Man first. Here he is in his protective bubble, so let's take him out. First I'll take out the webs because those seem more delicate than the figure itself. Pretty cool. Okay, so we got a piece of tape keeping his accessories in. I would assume the same for Hobgoblin and Leia. Alright. Look at all the detail on just his hand. Get little indents and notches and stuff. So he comes with the fisted hands, that's just what he comes with, and then he also has the web shooting hands, obviously. You can't have a Spider-Man without web shooting hands. Now let's take a look at the man himself. Now this version of Spider-Man's armor is based off of how he appeared in it in Spider-Man the Animated Series, which ran on Fox Kids back from 1994 to 98. And in the last episode we see the proto-Spider-Verse. So the Spider-Verse comic book came out in 2014 and this episode aired in 1998. So that's over 10 years prior to it. Now granted, there had been a multiverse at Marvel before and we had seen alternate versions of Spider-Man, just not all together. So this version of the Spider-Man who wears the armor is a Spider-Man who did not lose Uncle Ben and thus did not learn that with great power comes great responsibility. So Uncle Ben is still alive, Aunt May is still alive, and he's married to Gwen Stacy who's still alive. And he wears the armor and he has a public identity. Now this is just a few years before Iron Man revealed his identity to the public, but he's sort of like Iron Man in that respect, where he's got this sick armor and he's, you know, with a beautiful woman and he has everything he wants, including a company called Parker Industries that nets him a lot of money. So going over the articulation, simple articulation is arms go out that far. He can T-pose on the shocker, and then you can move the arms 360 degrees around. There is a cut at the deltoid, at the bicep, so he can rotate that, and arm can go that way, so 90 degrees. Twist the wrists, and on this one you can move it forward slightly, but I won't do it too far because I don't want to break it. And then he can twist at the waist, ab crunch. Ab crunch has him going down that far and up that high. He can kick out about that high. His knee has double joints. His ankle can point down, point back up, move side to side. And that is it for the articulation. This is the basic articulation that all of these figures have. Oh yeah, also his head can go left and right, up and down. Not by much, but you know, still can move the head. So, excuse me. So this figure looks awesome. Let's not beat around the bush. It looks amazing, spectacular, ultimate, web of. All of those adjectives that are applied to Spider-Man. So yeah, I just think that this is a really cool figure and I am so glad that I added it to my collection. Now let's take a look at the villain in this line. Well, one of the villains. So here we have his satchel. And here we have his bomb. Cool. Now we've got the glider. That's really cool. And let's look at the figure himself. Trying to be careful because the cape is wedged through the back, and I don't want to wreck the cape. Alright, let's take a look at this guy. Now, you might already know this, but for those of you who do not know, in Spider-Man the Animated Series, the Hobgoblin was voiced by Mark Hamill. That same Mark Hamill, the actor who plays Luke Skywalker in Star Wars, and the Joker in Batman the Animated Series, and many, many, many other characters. He is a very talented actor, and I loved his performance as the Hobgoblin. So here is a look at the figure. Really cool. A lot of vibrant orange, obviously, and he's got the same articulation, although his head doesn't move that much because of the cape. And I would assume that his arms are limited too because of the cape, but really cool looking. I had a similar looking action figure that was not based on the show, but based on the comics when I was a kid by Toy Biz, and it was a really fun action figure to play with. I think I still have it. So this is just a really cool figure, and yeah, I am so pleased that I purchased it. Now let's put him on the glider. Bend his knees a bit so he can, you know, get all loose and ready on there. Okay. Boom. Oh, jeez. And boom. So the version of the Hobgoblin that we see in the show is Jason Macendale, who was the Hobgoblin at the time of production of the show. So a lot of what they did was mixing modern Spider-Man with their own twist, well, modern at the time of mid-90s, with their own twist, as well as adapting the Ditko and Romita Sr. eras. So 60s and 70s, and I absolutely adore the show for what they did, and it's just really cool how they got all of those great actors to play these iconic characters, and you know, just adapt some of the classic storylines into their show, and I just love the show. So when I found out that Hasbro was producing toys loosely based on it, I had to start buying them. And Hobgoblin's hand does allow him to hold Pumpkin Bomb. Let me just get it in there. Ah. Wait, let me try the other hand. Yep, there we go. And then we'll also put the satchel on. Maybe put it that way, or if you want, put it on. No, that doesn't really work, but regardless, it's supposed to go on. I'll figure it out at some point. But now let's move on to the female character that we've got here. Alright, so this is Princess Leia from the final scene of the original Star Wars film, and Let's just take a look at her accessory first. So again, this is the medal that she gives to Luke Skywalker and or Han Solo, but not Chewbacca, at the end of the film. And so, I mean, it's a simple design, but it looks the way it looked in the movie, so I'm happy about that. And then we take a look at the figure herself. Now, I just have to say, just by taking a quick glance at it, it definitely looks a lot like Carrie Fisher, in my humble opinion. The likeness, the sculptor did a pretty good job capturing the likeness of the actress here. And yeah, her sleeves are really flowy. But yeah, I just really like the dress that she wears. Same dress she wears in the film, and the necklace. It's just her entire look from that very last scene, and it's molded into plastic. So I just think that this is a really cool figure. Again, it looks a lot like Carrie Fisher. So let's go over the articulation. So her head can twist, go up a little bit, down a little bit. She does have a very long ponytail, so that does hinder the movement of her head slightly. Her arms go out, boom, boom. Twist at the wrist, goes like that. And look, she's even got a really cool bracelet on. And again, because of the dress, her leg motion would be hindered, but can go out, can bend at the knee, double joints. And then there's also the ankle motion. Boom, boom. No wibbly wobbly on the ankle, but it can go up and down, so that's fine. We don't need her to do any dynamic poses in this scene. But, you know, maybe the Empire attacked after the ceremony was finished. We don't know what happened, because it took 3 years to, you know, see them again. And in the canon, Empire takes place 3 years after the first movie, so, you know, we don't get explanations. But I think that Marvel put out a comic back in the 80s that tells us what happened right after the credits started rolling. But I haven't read it, so I don't know. But yeah, I really like this figure. It looks a lot like the character and more like the actress playing the character. And yeah, I love it. Also, the original trilogy is the best. If you like the prequels or the sequels, you are wrong. And granted, there are some neat ideas in the prequels, and I do like a couple of the characters, but overall the story is bad, the writing is bad, the directing is eh. So there's my hot take. Not really that hot, but you know, modern times people have been like, oh, the prequels are great. No, they're not. They're bad movies. The original trilogy are 3 perfect films. This character is so much better than Rey and a lot of female characters in modern cinema. Don't at me. Alright, so thank you for watching this video. I had a fun time making it, and I hope that you enjoyed watching it. And if you have some of these figures, leave a comment telling me your thoughts on them. Let me know if you have any suggestions for future videos. And thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Goodbye.